Hello everybody, this is Manu-S. Welcome to another Eternal Contenders video, today with an update to Praxis tokens. So let's dive right in. The set 2 brought a few things for the deck, but not as much as you would think. So we still have 4 Grenadin drone for Initiative Descents, for Talir's favorite for Temple Scribe. To show a couple of options that are considered, I, for example, tried Noble Firemane. The card just didn't pan out. Like, it just has too little impact early on because it trades with 1-drops, so it doesn't really block well or attack well, and the ability is kind of like only good on offense and kind of slow, and you gotta survive and stabilize first and then you can turn on offense, and Firemane doesn't help with any of that, which is why it unfortunately doesn't pan out. Then we still have for assembly line, an interesting change is Avirax Familiar in place of the Amber Acolytes. I like this change quite a lot. First of all, it's another sort of free unit, because it basically can be played off the top of the deck, which would be the same as it drawing a card the turn you play it, more or less. And it turbo ramps into Xenan Obelisk, lets you generally do more things quickly, also ramps into Monitor and Humbug Swarm potentially, and eventually into Heart, and is another unit to go with Vault of the Praxis. Then there's 4 Sandstorm Titan, just because even though it's like one of the few good removal targets in the deck, it's just too good not to run, and the deck has too many issues with flyers, I think, without it. I tried it a couple times without it, and I just didn't like it. Feel free to try, say, Disciple of the Vault. Not Disciple of the Vault, that's a magic card. The Time Disciple, what's the name? Marizen's Disciple. Try Marizen's Disciple instead, that at least provides another flyer. It has nice synergy with Vault, Obelisk, and Monitor. But yeah, it's just not the same powerhouse that Titan is. Titan just provides the stabilization that I'm looking for in this deck usually. Like, say, against aggressive decks, if you have a Titan and they don't have one of their few answers against Titan, the game kind of comes to a grinding halt and you start building up a board and take over, because this deck benefits pretty well from a stall, and Disciple usually doesn't do that well because it's 2 fragile bodies rather than 1 big robust wall, so I like that better. But feel free to try the Disciple, that's like the option that I can see make the most sense. I tried Archive Curator for a while over the Titan, because it also helps with the flying issue, but yeah, it's no card advantage for the mentioned things, and it's kind of like a low impact body, and it's just a bit too defensive and reactive, I think, for a deck like this. This is a more linear, sort of proactive deck that kind of just wants to do its thing and mostly just ignore what the opponent is doing, and in the meantime stall out the opponent as well as it can while doing its thing. Then there's 4 Obelisk, 2 Vault of the Praxis. Might be that the deck would want or would need more than 2 Vault, but we also have Heart of the Vault in addition to the actual Vault. So basically the inside of the Vault to generate additional value, and we have the Humbug Swarms now, so we don't need Vault of the Praxis as much anymore, I think, against like sweeper type stuff. And yeah, then we have for Arcanum Monitor as additional Obelisk type effect and big unit at the same time. Humbug Swarm, just a great way to generate more go wide bodies with Obelisk and Monitor, and even with Vault. Just a really good card, and also helps with the potential flying issue. If they shut down Titan, you can have Humbug Swarm to still defend in the air. And then for Heart of the Vault, simply because the card's just too good not to run, and also because it's actually also a multiple for 1, like in the most extreme case it's a 4 for 1. So the deck just cares about cards that trade profitably, and Heart of the Vault fits that bill. The only card that doesn't is Titan. And yeah, and we obviously still have Torch, because Torch is just really flexible, really helpful, helps us survive in the early game, gain some momentum, and buy us time till we have enough of a board that the opponent doesn't have any profitable attacks anymore, because we have too many good gang blocks with all our small units. Then we have 25 power, slightly leaning on the time side because of Initiative of the Sands and some double time cards, but basically evenly split. And yes, there's still Diplomatic Seal, because with these 8 1-drops you just need it, and the card is actually much better at fixing cards like Heart of the Vault and Arcanum Monitor than people think. Basically, I think usually if your maximum influence requirements in a 2-color deck are 3 of each, and especially if you have heavier early requirements, be it 1-drops or early 2 or 3 drops that cost double like Temple Scribe, you absolutely have to play Diplomatic Seal. Card is just so good and makes your deck so much more consistent and operate so much more reliable, even if you sometimes have the feel bad moment of drawing a seal that doesn't produce any influence. But once again, keep in mind, half the time it would be the wrong influence anyway. If you need time and you draw a seal that doesn't do anything, 50% of the time it would have been a fire sigil, because if you cut the seals, you're gonna end up adding 2 fire sigils and 2 time sigils to the deck. So don't forget about that. Okay, that's it for the deck list. Pretty straightforward, but that's what you would expect from a linear strategy like that just kind of tries to do its thing and be consistent and redundant and synergetic. So time to take the deck into battle, into some games, and show it in action to see how to properly pilot it and how it performs. One note at the end that might be a bit surprising is that so far, if I tried this and tried Praxis Midrange, this deck constantly has been doing better for me than Praxis Midrange versions and outperforming Praxis Midrange on ladder for me. So keep that in mind. This might be just the better Praxis deck to play if you're looking to play Praxis. At least that's my impression so far. Alright, stay tuned for the first half of the games coming up in a moment.